What is that? Charger? Nice. Well, first of all, I appreciate everyone coming, and hopefully this will become sort of a rite of spring and a tradition. And I think it's really nice that it was in the stadium, and really grateful to Baylor Nation. You know, we had several hundred people there at the event before, and then to see that crowd on the sideline, I thought that was just what we needed. So really proud of a lot of guys on our team, the work that they've done. You're going to hear me say this over and over again, but we're 700 hours of community service, doing a really nice job in the classroom right now. About 50 straight days of me and Coach Snow and Coach DeLeon just yelling and screaming at them. And they came out today and played football and had some good moments, some bad moments. But I'm proud of so many guys that stepped up. And I just want to make sure I mention a few, if it's okay. I thought Wyatt Schrefter and Obim Okiki for, Jermichael got hurt on the first play of the game, and he'll be back. But you don't normally in a game, if we were playing in a game, I might have played him right away. But really proud of those two guys for really playing the whole game. Tanner Thrift, unfortunately, suffered an injury in pregame. And so that was down to about our fourth scholarship offensive lineman. But I thought, Christian Beard and Daniel Russell and the Dalton Justice. The Dalton Justice hasn't played center all spring, and he stepped in and did it for us. And Daniel Russell played on both teams. He was looking at me a couple times like, Coach, let's go 7-on-7 or throw let's get out of this. So just really proud of those guys. So as I said to our team, when you want to have a format like this, sometimes guys have to step up. And the last one I'll say is Sam Tecklenburg, who's really our starting tight end, or one of our starting tight ends. And once Tanner got hurt, he put on a number 75 and played left tackle with the twos the whole day. So that's unbelievably unselfish. And it's also really football smart that he's able to go from playing tight end to left tackle for a whole spring game and didn't look like he busted. So I'm appreciative to those guys. And with that, I'll see what questions you have. Yes, sir.
You need to say her name. Yeah, John Warner, Waco True. Do you think you can keep the NFL from drafting Ish?
Yeah, I hope they draft him next year this time. So, you know what? Proud of Ish. And, here's the thing. I meant it when people asked me if he was going to play in the game. I really did not want him to play in the game. But he came to me and said, I can play in the game. I know what I'm doing. And so just really smart. And I didn't realize how much he knew. But I think it's because he's coming in on his own and learning the plays. I mean, everything is signaled to the guys. So he learned the signals, the plays, and what to do. So, I want to make sure I'm always honest with you guys. I mean, I didn't think there was any way he'd play in this game. But he came to me and said, I can do it. And I said, if you can, you can. So, and then obviously he's got great hands and was able to go up and catch that ball. So I don't know how many plays he played, but he was certainly productive.
Stephen Hawkins with the AP. Matt, like you said, you and the coach has been kind of yelling at him 50 straight days. But for you, as you look back, it's been almost 6 months. How important is it to get to this point? I know there's still a long way to go, and this is only part of the process. But to get to this point, to get through spring, and just how do you feel where things are?
Well, as I told them in there, I'm proud of them. I'm very proud of them. And I wanted them to walk out of here today holding their heads high. I mean, we've been really physical. We haven't relented. You're allowed 12 days in full pads. We took 12 days in full pads. Even when injuries happened, we've pushed them in the meetings. We're sitting there. You hear people say that kids can't pay attention for more than 30 minutes or whatever it is. We keep them in meetings for 2 hours and 30 minutes. So, they're obviously learning something. So I'm just proud of them. I'm proud of what they've done off the field. I'm proud of what they've done on the field. So I wanted them to walk off the field today feeling good about what they did, and also understanding that everything in life is about what's next, right? So, it's about this weekend doing the right things, finishing up school, and then we have a long way to go to be a good football team. I think that, we kind of dive right into May recruiting. So we have to do a great job of making sure these kids finish academically, but also, coaches will be on the road this week. And, we'll get back and we'll start our camp season. But at the same time, we'll work on football and really, now that we've been through it with these kids, really trying to identify, okay, who do we have and what can we do? And even guys that have been banged up like Blake Lynch and Terrence Williams, at least we had them enough to know, hey, we have some special guys. How do we utilize them?
Kirk Bowles from the Austin American, Matt. I know you have a couple of Temple guys being drafted next week. How would you say the talent level of this Baylor roster, including the injury players, compares to what you had at Temple last year?
It's a great question. I'm proud. I'll say this: we got a lot of talented kids here, and we had a lot of talented kids at Temple. I think we had we had 5 make NFL rosters last year. 3 got drafted, 5 made NFL rosters last year. I think we'll have 3 or 4 drafted, hopefully, from Temple this year, first rounder and a second rounder. And I think we have, when you look, the difference here is maybe there's a lot of young kids. So I think you have a young couple classes that have a bunch of guys that maybe could get drafted someday at a high level. I think we have kids next year that should get drafted at a high level. So the deal with the kids at Temple was like Hassan was a walk-on in his junior year, redshirt junior year, and scholarship 1 year, but he just kept getting better. And so if these kids just buy into what we're doing, which they have, I think that there'll be a lot of drafted kids here. So I think there's a lot of really, really talented players, and there's a lot of future draft picks left at Temple. And there's certainly some kids here that are going to get drafted and play for a long time. So I think our biggest issues to me here are really just depth and, at certain positions. And, that's my job to get it fixed.
Tony Adami, CBS 24/7. Zach Smith seemed really sharp in that 2-minute part at the end. How do you think he did overall and compared to the other quarterbacks?
I'd have to go back and, watch it. I mean, I know he was his ankle's still bothering him, so, he ran a couple nakeds early on. I think I got tweaked maybe early on, but, I thought he threw some deep balls that we kind of needed some guys to go up and fight for the ball for him. And I'll say that Francis Brown and the corners have done a great job this spring because early on we caught all those balls on offense. And then Jamison Houston and he stood out to me today. They've really competed on the deep balls. And so, but I thought Zach did a fine job, did a nice job. And really the 2-minute was probably his kind of best moment to see what he could do with the pressure on. And I thought that first drive by Zach and the first offense was really, really good through the touchdown that they called back for the tackle in the backfield, but I'd have to watch the tape, but I've been pleased with Zach all spring. And I think he'll only get better and better and better. I think he's going to be one heck of a quarterback as I do the other guys.
Hey, Matt. Max Olson, ESPN.com. A pretty productive day from Clint Lewis. I'm curious what you thought of his performance and getting that going.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful all across the country. You see people in their spring games, honoring veterans, honoring people who are battling adversity, and honoring people, with illnesses and people, with special needs. I think the thing that was really cool about this one, that's not to say other ones aren't, but what really special about this one was that Clint's been here for 22 years. Clint will come to practice. And, the thing to me is when you see that, that's a wonderful moment for Clint. But I always try to gauge the reaction of the kids as they do it. And that wasn't like, I don't know if you saw me out there, it wasn't like we practiced that and said, hey, make sure. And I was just really, really excited to see how much it meant to our players that they would be. I think they're trying to get out of the scrimmage because they kept dancing and dancing and dancing and chanting. But it's special when that person, how much that person's given to you. And so I'm not as familiar with all the years that Clint has provided, but I thought Doug McNamee and his staff did a great job with the video presentation, and really honored someone who really believes in Baylor. And so it was really cool, and it was cool to see him. He was just telling me about it out there. It was cool to see him celebrate, but it was really cool to see our players as well and how much that meant to them as well.
Hey, Matt. Suzanne Halliburton, Austin American-Statesman. 2 questions. First, big dudes fielding punts.
You like that?
Yeah, that was cool. You used that in a game?
You know what? I debated me going back there to catch one,
You
and
should
then
have.
if it was a little warmer, I might have done it. But you know what? I didn't tell them they were going to do that as well. But just a little bit of levity and a little something different, especially when you go offense versus defense, because that can get really boring after a while. At least to me, it can. So just a little something different, and then obviously Sells at the end trying to kick the extra point. That was a disgrace to the sport. But as I told our kids, when you work hard, you've earned the right to have a little bit of fun, and those O linemen and D linemen have definitely earned the right. And I asked Blackmar to go back there. He said, "Coach, that's my worst nightmare." So I let him go. So
The kicking or the fielding?
the fielding.
And the second question, Charlie Brewer, after he first couple of throws looked like he settled down. How much was he playing against the first-team defense, or was that all? I mean, were there enough bodies to have a first-team, second-team defense?
The defense hasn't. The defense has lost about 5 or 6 guys that were starters at one point, but there's still we have a lot of players on defense. We didn't have quite the same depth issue, so those guys were all going against all scholarship players, and we have a lot of great non-scholarship players. Don't get me wrong, but all guys that are going to play for us. I think Charlie's got a special something. I mean, he just has it. And, he should be like him and R.J. Sneed, they should be like in that econ class. And they should, Jalen Petrie as well. I mean, the future's so bright. Those kids are just football kids. And Charlie gets outside the pocket. Like, he makes sarcastic, I stand behind him, makes sarcastic remarks to me. Like, nothing phases him. So, as he has a chance to develop, he's going to be one heck of a quarterback. And he certainly already is one heck of a leader.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Coach, with the injuries and stuff, were you still able to get a good gauge of what you have?
Yeah, I mean, today was more for them. And I'll watch the film, don't get me wrong, but, like we ran 95 plays on Thursday, so, I mean, Thursday was like my last, like, true, like, offense. Some people go helmets the day before the spring game. We don't, right? So, that was like my last true gauge schematically. What can we, and so, I think anytime you compete, you can get something from it. But to me, it's all about the overall body of work. If I'm a quarterback and I have no time, you can't really evaluate me. Or if I'm a wideout and my number never gets called, you can't really evaluate me. So this is a process over time to evaluate the guys. And I think we know where a lot of our strengths and weaknesses are. And, I thought we've really developed as a pass rushing team, but we need like that guy. That guy that everyone's afraid of in the conference. I don't know if we've developed that yet. So from the group of guys we have and from the guys coming in, we need that. We need, a little bit more depth at running back. We need a little more depth at corner, and then certainly the offensive line. We need some depth. So those are some of the issues. But I'm pleased with a lot of the guys that we have, and I'll watch the tape, and you might hear me tonight, yelling and screaming at the film. But I thought a lot of guys probably did their best today.
Yeah, Matt, yeah, you mentioned you're a little thin at running back. Do you expect Terrence and Abram to be ready in August? Or?
Yeah, Abram tore his ACL the first practice, so he'll be out. He tore it just no contact, just running, unfortunately. So he'll be out for a while, and Terrence will be back. Terrence will be back for the season.
David Smoke. Matt, you mentioned about today and what you got done, but considering where you were when you arrived and you had no idea really about anything, are you happy with everything you've accomplished? Could you have accomplished everything you wanted in this short amount of time?
Well, I'm happy with everything, and I'll just say I'm happy with everything they've accomplished. I mean, my job, as I said, I'm not a motivator. My job is our job as coaches to teach and instruct, correct, and give them opportunities, right? So I'm really, really, really pleased with how far they've come. Now, that is like one step in the process. Now there's another step and another step, and you just keep building, but really pleased. Really pleased. Just they're a team that I really like to be around, and that's it's such a huge part of this, right? If you like to be around the team and they like to be around you, I think that's a key. And I judge programs by when you walk in the building at 4:00 in the afternoon, how many players do you see in there? When you walk in, I see kids in our offices. I see coaches, having dinner with kids. And so I feel really good about the culture that's being established and the culture that was already there or is there. What else could we get done? I always think there's more that we need to get done. I mean, you should, I'm always, and our coaches are always thinking that way. Coach Snow, I know, is going to leave today, and he's going to be frustrated, and Nick's is going to be, and George is going to be frustrated. But that's because we believe in excellence, and I know our kids are that way too. So I'm pleased. I really am. I'm really pleased, and I'm really pleased with their effort. And now it's going to be making a huge jump this summer.
Bryce Cherry, Waco Trib. Matt, you mentioned that this day today is about them. I assume it's also kind of for the fans. I mean, obviously a lot of curiosity among the fans of just, what the team would look like. What did you want to show them today, and do you feel like you showed them that?
It was going to be a little bit vanilla, obviously, because we're, it's on TV and all that, and really, really grateful to all the people here at Baylor that we were able to put it on Fox Sports Southwest. I mean, I want people to see our kids. And, I wanted to, at the end of the day, like I wanted to make sure that they saw our kids being physical. They saw our kids tackling. They saw us protect the football. I wanted to see not a ton of penalties. I wanted them to see discipline. I wanted them to see shirts tucked in. I wanted them to see guys not yelling at the refs, not taunting each other. At the end of the day, I'd like to be a team that doesn't beat itself. And then you can start from there. So I didn't watch the TV copy, and I was back behind where I was, so I don't know that I saw everything. But that's what you hope that you see. You saw a little bit of I formation that keeps me happy, and then you saw the other stuff that makes everyone else happy. And that's why I called the touchdown to Wainwright, guys, so you could see that you can be explosive from the I formation, Max. So, but no. But I just think, it was to me, was as much as anything, just, I want our kids to show the way that we do things. Not always what you do, it's the way that you do it. And there's a lot of teams that run the spread. The teams that a lot of teams that play 4-3. It's the way you do things. And so the way we carry ourselves, the way we ran on and off the field, the way we handle Clint, the way we shake fans' hands at the end, that's all important to me.
Coach Wendell Barnhouse, Fan Rag Sports. You mentioned the guys coming in the summer. You get about, 20, I guess, freshmen that'll be getting
23.
23. Now, does that get you guys up to the 85, and how important will those guys coming in as far as you're going to need some of those guys to fill in either as backups or starters, right?
Yeah, I think we'll need 23 that'll get us to 85 or right in that range because injuries and stuff. It could be 84, it could be whatever. But anytime you bring freshmen in, I think you're looking for difference makers, guys who can really improve you in some area. It doesn't have to be like as the starting, but he could be just a deep play threat and then you need depth. And, in a perfect world, you'd like to redshirt everybody and let them grow up. But I don't know that that's a reality in college football, not at Baylor, in college football. So we'll do a nice job. Our coaches will work all summer to make sure that the kids are caught up within the rules. And then that freshman class, there's a bunch of good football players, we think. Based upon how good Charlie, Jalen, and RJ have been this spring. So based upon what those three guys have done, I feel good about the rest of the freshman class. So we'll put them in there and we'll compete and give them every opportunity to play.
Hey, Matt, 15 practices in, how do you assess the buy-in from your players and just the way they've embraced the physicality and just the way you want to play as a program?
Outstanding. Yeah, I've had no issues. I attribute this. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to you next. I attribute this buy-in, the same level of buy-in I would have had at Temple. At the end of the day, like every year is a new team. And even though those kids had won, 10 games and 10 games our way, I still had to convince everybody this is what we do. It's just all of us, right? Human nature. So I would have had to convince those guys, hey, this is how we practice. And, I think the one cool thing is like Texas. Texas did Longhorn Network did it behind Texas football. And I showed our kids, like, watch Tech. I love Tom Herman, and here's Texas, and a great team. And you know what? They're doing Oklahoma drill and goal line tackling drill, and the coaches yell every once in a while in practice, and this is so it's. But there's been no pushback from our kids at all at any point. There's been days where they don't feel like doing anything, but they're the products of Texas high school football. There's like. I take my son to Little League. I'm driving. I can hear them, over at Midway. I can hear them. They're all over the state. They're in athletic period. These kids know how to work, and they worked hard here in one way, and we're working hard here in a different way. But these kids are used to it. There's no issue.
Craig Smokey is being Central Texas. I know earlier on in spring you wanted to see more from your upperclassmen in terms of leadership. Have you seen that leadership develop? And now, when they're going to be on their own a bit more, do you feel confident that they'll figure it out?
I think so, and thank you for remembering me saying that. I think a lot of guys. That's why it was really important, Mo Porter and Brian Nance, to reward them today because they've really worked at it and bought into it and done a nice job. And it's not that those are the kids I would say that weren't bought into it. It's just really hard. The older we get, the more we're in it. It's really hard to change something, And as I say to them, like you could play for the Green Bay Packers for 4 years and you do it one way and you get traded to the Seahawks. You better figure it out pretty quick. Because Pete Carroll doesn't want to hear about, hey, this is how we did it in Green Bay. So if you want to be play for a long time, you better learn to adapt. And so, but it's harder for the older guys. But Tayon Sells, guys who were able to stay healthy, Jordan Feuerbacher. There's a lot of those kids that stepped up and did it with their play and also did it vocally. And I think that they'll do a really nice job this summer. Because one thing, the more you're around them, you can tell that they really want to do it the right way.
Matt, Kevin Longquist at Rivals. Can you just talk a little bit about what you want this group to do in the summer leading up to fall camp in August?
We got to get in shape. So we didn't run as much maybe as I'd want to in the winter because we were doing things to build, team. And there's always a balance. You always have to pick what you want. And then at the same, and I'll take more than one more so people can get their stuff done. And then the second, if you want to get up and leave to make your deadline, you won't offend me anybody. And then number two is I still think we're always working at any team to make sure we have tremendous camaraderie, right? And tremendous buy-in, and that's hard when you have freshmen living here and older guys. So we have to continue to build a team, and then we have to learn the details of playing the way we play, playing our systems. I don't know that we have that down yet, and we have to make a huge, huge, huge step.
Matt, is this truly a three-man race, or were you able to narrow it down through the spring? Are you comfortable? I'm talking about quarterback, obviously. Are you comfortable sort of leaving it open, or do you sort of have it down to two, would you say, at this point?
I would say right now, like Zach and Anu would be slightly ahead with Charlie in behind. But I would say I feel good that Charlie's over the line of where we should be right now. Like if I needed Charlie to go in, he could do it. And I wouldn't be surprised that Charlie gets into it, which is why to me, I don't want to evaluate them in terms of depth right now. It's just not fair to them. If they'd been in the system for a couple of years, I'd say, okay, this is where you are, and let's establish a leader. But I want to see who makes the gains in the summer and then who makes the gains into the fall camp. And so, I want to see what Zach's like when his ankle's healthy. I want to see what Anu's like when he's had some time with us in the off-season program. So I know this. Here's the positive thing, and this is the coach in me. We've got 3 good quarterbacks, and that's what I know. And that I really believe that. We have 3 good quarterbacks. When I got here, there was 1 scholarship quarterback. And when I say we have 3 good quarterbacks, Preston Hurd has done a nice job all camp as well as a non-scholarship player, and Zach's a guy I trust. So we've got a bunch of guys built in the system, but I really don't believe we will know until preseason camp who the quarterback is.
Did you ever go back and look at Anu? Like, obviously, he put up great numbers, and have you looked at some of that tape to familiarize when he was playing really well, what that looked like?
I haven't. The offensive staff maybe has, but I haven't. I've been kind of my role this offseason hasn't been as much football as it's been other things, and the kids and our players and just overall the whole program. So I've got guys on offense and guys on defense I trust. I'm letting them do their thing right now. I just come in and try to drop a hand grenade every once in a while and say, why are we doing this, and leave and let them figure it out. So, but I have a staff that I really trust. It's why I believe we have one of the best, if not the best, football. And that's not to disrespect anybody else, but I believe we have one of the best football staffs in the country, and guys with unbelievable experience and guys who are teachers and who really, really, really care about the kids. So I trust them. So I leave them alone and let them do their thing and come in and out when I need to.
Okay. I just have 3 or 4 more here.
Mr. Bowles.
Let's go. Matt, Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News. You kind of quipped that you ran the I-formation stuff for you and the other stuff for the people in the stands. When you get to fall, do you want to make yourself happy, or do you want to make the people in the stands happy?
I want to make the scoreboard happy. At the end of the day, like the teams that I respect, USC when they were great, Alabama, Clemson, the New England Patriots. There's a way to win every game, and the other team's defense tells you how to win that game. And so, one of the things I want to do is be multiple. I want people to have to defend so many different things, and that I formation is for 3rd and 1. You know what I mean? When you want to go down and bang someone up, creates a one-on-one to your receiver, and we've got some special receivers. And then when we have a lead, I'd like to be able to put the game away and keep the other team's offense off the field. So that really won't be our focus, and that's because that's not the people that we have. And we've got tremendous skill athletes that I want to make sure are on the field. But I think it's sort of like a little bit of an outlier that the people are going to have to figure out and defend. And so many other teams in this league have it. You see teams in the Big 12 that I see Oklahoma State on TV with 2 tight ends and that offense. I see West Virginia. So we're not the only one. Everyone kind of has something as a defensive coach you have to pay attention to.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you were going to be the square peg in the round hole.
Yeah, and I think when you watch, West Virginia play defense over the last couple of years, when you watch obviously the Stoops brothers, Oklahoma, when you watch Kansas State, not huddle, but to me I don't ever want to say this is who we are. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I've got a great tailback, if I don't hand them the ball, I'm nuts. If I've got great wideouts, and I think here we got a lot of really good players, so we'd like to be multiple and take what you give us. So I think it's about that. The only thing for me is always just about sort of that game theory of, if you have the lead, you like to slow it down and maybe play defense, and if you're behind, you better speed it up. So that's what we've learned to do. So, well, thank you very much, everybody. I greatly appreciate everyone all spring. Thank you.